let's talk about who the heck am I and what the heck is an Arcadian. We'll have a health and safety moment, and you'll understand why there's a health and safety moment when I explain what Arcadis is. Then we'll get into the meat of the presentation. What is test-driven development, not threat-driven development like was used on the stage yesterday, why it's underutilized, and how there are myths about why it is not utilized and how to deal with that resistance. And then I'll go into talking about ways to implement TDD and talk about the AAA pattern a bit. I have the mandatory AI slide. And again, get your phones out. In a little bit, we will have a QR code up on the screen for interactive quizzes. Okay, who the heck am I? I'm Dan Mazella. That's M-A-Z-Z-E-L-L-A. My session and my name tag only had one Z. That's Mazella. Don't trust that guy. I'm Mazella. I'm a software engineer that got voluntold to be a leader. So I came out of the pre-startup world, long before websites and whatnot, with single applications, client-server applications, grew into web site and startup world in the late 90s. And then I landed at a startup around the year 2000 called Tririga. And this was a startup that was really founded by a construction company within Las Vegas, and they were building billion-dollar casinos. And they took a step back and say, okay, well, if we're building these billion-dollar casinos and we're still doing things on paper and Excel, we could invest $50 million into a software company and see if we can save 10%. If we can save 10%, that's $100 million. We're already $50 million ahead. Fast forward to a few years, they sold to IBM for about $500 million. So they had a very good return on investment. And I worked through the ranks at IBM, combining the construction industry with the facility management industry. So really where my career sits is at the intersection of physical hardware and software. What do we do about the buildings, about bridges, and how do we manage them, and how do we have digital twins on them, and how do we instrument them? And that brought me through to now Arcadis. And Arcadis is one of the largest civil and environmental engineering firms in the world. Talk more about Arcadis in the next slide. I am also a jazz-berry saxophonist. The AI generated deal up there is a tenor saxophone. My saxophone is actually larger than that. If you go up on YouTube and look up like Las Vegas, Mazella, LVYO, there's a couple of videos of me jamming with some local musicians. And again, I sit at the intersection of being creative with music, harmonizing with music, and I also try to harmonize software and have my teams run as if they were a band, to where there's a drummer in the band. That may be the QA department. You have the trumpeters who are the front end developers. You have the bassists who are the core developers. Whatever that may be. Maybe that's a bad analogy. I don't know. Okay, so what is Arcadis? Apologies for the font being minuscule up on the screen, but really what Arcadis is, we deliver consulting on civil and environmental engineering projects. So there are over 36,000 employees worldwide. So I have people in Manila, obviously here in Bangalore, in the Middle East, Netherlands, Romania, Spain, Brazil, the US, Canada, Mexico. The sun doesn't set on Arcadis. We were founded in 1888 in the Netherlands, so we're a Dutch company. We don't take any BS in polite company. I will use BS instead of the word that the Dutch use. And we were voted one of the best management consulting firms a number of years in a row. Last year was 2022. In 2023, we were platinum medal ESG #1 with the ESG ranking score. We have $5 billion in revenue, and we have over 40,000 projects worldwide. And these are civil and environmental engineering projects like the high-speed rail project between London and the north. Like the roundabouts that may be in the state of Georgia, making sure that they are safe, monitoring traffic. Is there anything that can be done to re-architect them to make them safer. Well water monitoring in the state of Nevada. So you may know that in the late 1950s through about 1988, we blew a whole bunch of nuclear weapons up about 90 miles north of my home in Las Vegas. And all of that contamination was underground. And that means that there's this radiation plume that's slowly creeping towards Las Vegas. So maybe my grandkids one day will have 3 eyes and green skin. I don't know. But Arcadis is there monitoring the groundwater with wells that they can pick up and watch this radiation plume move down slowly from the test site down Armagosa Valley, and hopefully it stops at some point, or the half-life decreases if you know anything about nuclear radiation. So we are concerned about the real life as well as the cyber world. And that's really where we focus things. In every single meeting that we have, more than about 4 to 5 people, we always have a health and safety moment because it's core to what we do. What we don't want is to someone to work on a project, they not do something safe and they don't go home. Or we don't want to design a bridge and have it fall and have people die. So we are very, very concerned about health and safety. So I'm going to throw up a slide here talking about health and safety. It really has nothing to do about test-driven development, but it does have to do with coming to a conference like that, like this. And that is about international situational awareness as you travel. So situational awareness is not having your head down in your phone as you're walking along the streets, preparing for your travel, making sure that you are always aware of your surroundings. As we say in the States, head on a swivel, always making sure that you are aware of your surroundings. And you take safety precautions like putting on mosquito repellent, making sure that you understand what events are going on. A couple weeks ago, I had no clue that the Indian elections were coming up. And today's the day, right, in this city. So following events and subscribing to local news before you take a trip so that you're aware what may be going on and you can avoid certain areas. If there's a protest or whatnot at City Hall or things, avoiding those things. So that is our health and safety moment for the day. All right, switching on your mobile phones, getting ready for the QR code. Apologies to anyone on my right-hand side here. As we say, stage right or house left. I don't know, I'm gonna duck down, I apologize. But we will get a few people onto this live quiz. Feel free to use just your first name or maybe your first name, last initial, or your pseudonym or your avatar name or whatnot. If we do have some people that have the same first names or last names, make something up, that's you. We have about, I think it counted about 75, 80 people in this room. Actually, there are more now. I didn't count the people on the steps. So when we get to about 75, we will go to the next screen. Hopefully it's an easy enough question for you to answer. And it looks like the responses are slowing down. All right, I'm going to go to the next slide. The QR code should still be there. What year was Arcadis founded? Was it 1888, 1898, 1988, or 2018? Again, we're a Dutch company, but we have operations all over the globe. It's a very interesting and cool company to work for. Okay, what did the crowd think? 1888 is the correct answer. 1988, we did some mergers and acquisitions in the mid 80s. Actually, we do about 2 to 3 acquisitions a year with small little civil or environmental or BIM modeling firms, IoT and whatnot across the years. 2018, sorry, that is incorrect. Okay, so the way the quiz works is it's both correct response and time-based. So all you people that responded very quickly, quick on the draw with 3 seconds, you're in first place. So I want to start off with a story about test-driven development. And this takes me back to my Tririga days. So like I said, Tririga was founded by a construction company that built casinos in Las Vegas. And if you've ever been to Las Vegas or any place that has very large infrastructure, you know that security, physical security is a concern. And when we started Tririga, I was about employee number 50 or so. Employee number 5 was the physical security guy. So, ooh, lost. All right. So not cybersecurity, but physical security. So this was an ex-Navy SEAL and big guy. He was, I don't know, 2.5 meters tall, probably, 280 pounds. I don't know what that is in kilos. Big guy, about twice of me, all muscle. And he had a big growly voice and, all right, partner, this is what we're going to do. I heard stories all over about when he would get into a situation, he would assess it and he would take action. And he would try something out and prove the point. And so I would hear these stories, like one time he was in Hong Kong with the CEO and he saw bubbles coming up underneath the boat because they were out on the water in the Hong Kong Bay. He assumed that there was an intruder or someone under the boat that was going to jump up and attack. So he takes off his shirt, he had shorts on, he threw off his shoes, he dove under the boat, was down there for about 2 minutes, came back up, sorry, all right, partner, must have been a fish, nothing there. So I would hear all these stories like that. And it wasn't until we moved into a new building that he had an assumption that we needed cameras on our roof because someone could enter our building through the roof. So this is the assumption, right? That we needed cameras on the roof. So that was the story, if you will. So the test was, well, come on, Chris, there's no one got to climb the roof. He marches us out. I saw this with my own eyes. He gets to the corner of the building. My AI generated picture there is pretty darn accurate. He scales the side of the building with his own hands. No climbing ropes, no what. It was about a 2-story building. He gets up to the roof. He's like, all right, see, we need cameras. So he wrote the test. He proved that we needed cameras before we got the cameras installed. So this applies to the core principles of test-driven development. Is you write the test first. You prove something before you actually go off and do it. You write the minimum tests to pass. So he didn't need, harnesses. He didn't need, helicopter or whatnot. It was just him. His mock environment was the building and his bare hands and feet. And then in the end, if the building was already built, that means that we had to refactor something. We had to put cameras on the roof. If it was a new building and he was part of the construction of the new building, he would put those into the blueprints at the beginning. And he would not necessarily have to have done the test, but we knew that he was capable of doing the test. So those cameras would need to go up as well. So now at Arcadis, we take this principle at heart. So with any new change set, with any new bug, with anything, we write a unit test first to prove the point, write the code, and then make sure that the unit test passes. Our software is more robust, it's safer, and it ensures that the product owner can rely upon the code that we deliver, and we actually confirm in our stories what we say that we deliver is what we actually deliver. It wasn't always this case, though. So why did test-driven development remain underutilized at Arcadis? This may be why this is underutilized at your own organization. Maybe you're in an immature, a startup organization, and you have, you don't have the processes and procedures in place for this, for test-driven development yet. You think that there's a large time investment that you need to write a unit test before you actually go in and write the code. There's pressure to meet deadlines that you have to get something done in your 2-week sprint cycle. You got to get done and just bypass the unit test. Who cares? My code is perfect all the time, right? Then there's the resistance to change. You may be in an older organization, maybe a team that's been formed for a while, and you don't want to adopt something new, and it's that resistance to change. And then there's various other misconceptions and myths out there, and including a lack of familiarity about what unit tests are. So how do you go about this, go about changing this? Well, first of all is education mentoring, and demonstrating the long-term benefits of test-driven development. And you'll see that over time, you will increase adoption. Let's dive deeper into some of those myths, though. So again, I said that it slows down development, but does it really? If you take a look at any given module or microservice or unit of code, you're going to have bugs in it over time. Well, if you have a unit test that covers all that code, you're pretty darn sure that you're not going to hit something, including if you've accounted for corner cases. Now, if you do hit a bug, you already have your framework set up to go in your IDE already and find and add a new unit test that covers that corner case. So you don't have to set up time, setting up your environment, getting your browser up, getting your middleware up and running your database. You can mock a lot of things, and you can, if you've done the upfront work, to get down to a resolution much faster, especially for those bugs. The other myth is that test-driven development is only for mature and complex projects. This is not the case. I've seen unit tests on small little libraries or things that are very isolated, and that gives you a level of confidence that those libraries or those small little projects are going to perform and exceed their lifetime when the unit tests may not have been there on other projects as well. The other thing I hear is unit tests eliminates the need for manual testing. This is a big myth. It is a yes and. You need unit tests and you need manual testing. So let's say that you have a story that the product owner has created. As a user, I want to log in and get the portal screen as a result. So does that mean that when you're done coding that, on your first or second sprint, that you, as the product owner, do not rely on your own testing to validate and verify that the story is complete? No. You still need, as a product owner, as the QA, to do that manual testing, to do that automated testing as well. Don't just rely on your unit testing for that. And then lastly, the last myth is it overall increases maintenance overhead. This, in my experience, is not true. When you have a good set of running unit tests and you run into the failure, you are at that point made aware of any regression in your coding cycle. So you can fix it early in your release. You can fix it if you merge your code in, and it's day number 5 of your sprint. You run through your pipeline and you get your unit test report back, and there's a new failure. You don't have to wait until the end of the sprint to find that out when manual testing is done. You immediately go back and put in a new change set. You put through a new PR to make sure that the bug is fixed and you don't introduce it into production. Okay, get your phones in. We'll have the first real question, not the year. So what do you think is the first step in the core principle of test-driven development is? Is it to write the minimum code to pass the test? Is it to write the test for the desired functionality? Is it to refactor the code? Or is it to review the requirements with the stakeholders? I may have done these slides a little bit backward. Maybe we haven't covered some of this stuff yet, or this is just a quiz for all of your knowledge, being good software engineers in the industry for a while. All right, so we have quite a slew here between 54. So the correct answer is you want to write the test for the desired functionality. Oh, I didn't have the whatchamacallit, the leaderboard there. Hopefully in the future we can see who's actually in first place. Let's talk a little bit about what Arcadis does to and how we integrated test-driven development into our overall software development lifecycle. So number one was education, training, and mentoring. Having a background at IBM, we had a very good and strong unit testing framework in place. I was able to take that and train our team leads, our developers, and produce a core set of champions within Arcadis that would go off and create the next generation of champions when they were brought into the team. The next thing we did is with our CI/CD pipelines, we integrated it with a tool called SonarQube. It is basically a tool for overall code quality and static code analysis, and it will also tell you the results of any unit tests that you may have and give you that nice coverage report and give you some grades on different aspects of your code quality. So it tells you things like if you have any code smells, if you have any vulnerabilities, if you're using any libraries that are vulnerable, and then of course the unit test coverage. As part of the SonarQube sort of world is this notion of cleaning while you code. So everyone has legacy code. So cleaning while you code basically means that you refactor areas of code so that's unit testable, so it's maintainable, so it's readable, but you don't necessarily go back and write unit tests for something that you're not currently working on. So in this way, over time, you're improving your overall code quality. But for any given sprint or for any given code set, you should try to achieve 100% code coverage for any changes that you deliver. So this is what we mean by setting and measuring individual goals. It's one thing to say that for our entire code base, for all our repos, we're going to have 80% code coverage. That's great. But it's more important to say over time that delta, that percentage of change should be 100%. So when you have a PR, make sure that the team leads and other people are asking the question, does this code actually cover, or does this unit test actually cover your code? Going into SonarQube, pulling down the branch and validating and verifying that the KPIs and those goals for an individual change set were actually achieved. And this bubbles up to if you have quarterly or yearly reviews on your own personal bonus or whatever structure that you have a place to go and say, yes, for all of my PRs, I have in SonarQube, I have achieved 100% code coverage for the new code. Over time, your overall repo, the total coverage will increase. And then finally, you want to have that good feedback and collaboration. You want to have that yes and attitude. So if someone comes and has a little bit of resistance or whatnot, that you understand what their concerns are and you address them head on. And that brings us to dealing with resistance. And again, you want to address those concerns head on. You want to have that conversation. Sometimes they're difficult. But if you have a good open environment and a good communication structure with your staff or as a staff engineer with your management, encouraging points that you may not be familiar with. You may need additional training. You may identify if you're a manager that your team needs additional training and encourage them to get that training and support for the team. Maybe they need to come to a conference like this and listen to me. That would be something that you could do for next year. Or watch the YouTube or whatever videos up on the internet, or go to some place like Pluralsight or one of the other online upskilling platforms and have them take courses, and then make that upskilling platform part of their overall quarterly or yearly goals. But really the point is to acknowledge and emphasize the importance of that compliance and fostering that good open feedback so you can get down to the root nugget of why someone is resisting the change. Okay, phones out again. Ignore the signs on the wall. So what is the primary purpose of writing tests before writing the actual code in test-driven development? Is to ensure the code is driven by the requirements, to save time in the development process, to make the code base more complex or to delay the actual coding process. You may have picked up on a little chuckle that I gave. I guess I shouldn't read these out loud. That's okay. It fills the dead air, and I like to hear myself talk. Probably that's more important. Okay, so very good. Class gets a passing mark, 80%. So the primary purpose of writing actual tests is to understand that they're driven by the requirements. And the way that you can do this is following a pattern. And this is the AAA pattern. And this is the arrange, act, assert pattern. So in a unit test, you want to mock things. You want to set up an environment. You want to create an environment within your IDE or within your static code analysis tooling that doesn't require a database. It doesn't require a NoSQL database. It doesn't require anything outside of the actual test to perform the actual work done for that particular module. Then you want to act. You have your data set up. You want to act, and you want to exercise the code. Then when you get the result back, you want to assert. You want to say, okay, I have my result back. Did the result actually match what my expectations are? You want to keep your unit test focus, and you want to maintain readability within your unit tests. If you arrange your unit tests in whatever language that you have in this sort of pattern where you have like a setup, a acting, and then asserting, they should be easy to understand and easy to follow. Okay, phones out again. So in test-driven development, what's the key benefit of maintaining a reliable suite of tests? Is it to reduce the need for code reviews? Is it to provide a safety net for making changes? Is it to eliminate the need for documentation? Or is it to speed up the initial development process? Hopefully this is a little bit of an easier question. Some of these may be obviously wrong. Hopefully on a Friday afternoon, this isn't too hard of a thing to answer. Okay, so correct. You want to provide a safety net for making changes. So that's not the key benefit, it is a key benefit. I guess I Englished the term up there. It should be a key benefit, not the key benefit. But so what this means is if you have another developer that's going into code and they make a breaking change, the unit test should hopefully pick that up. And if they run the unit test within their IDE, hopefully they can fix it right then and there before they even create the PR, before they push it up to Git or whatever code repository that you have before you create that code review. Oh, here's the leaderboard. All right, so 31 seconds to respond. All 4 correct. Good job. All right, so let's talk about AI in a few minutes. So what we use at Arcadis is GitHub Copilot. And this is a great way of understanding how to write a unit test, especially if you sort of already have a domain-driven development mindset in place. So you can ask Copilot, like, hey, this is my my JSON request that I want to create. Create me a unit test for this, even before you create the code to generate that JSON response. Obviously, there are some debugging tools that have AI built into them, and you can have it recommend breakpoints when you're trying to debug something. You can chat with it and say, where would I put a stop or a place to put a breakpoint in as I'm doing the code. And then finally, AI code analysis tools. You can get plugins to SonarQube or other code tooling to help you figure out what's happening within your development process. All right, I have a Q&A session in here, but I think I'm going to skip it because we have like 2 minutes left, and I have a couple more questions. All right. In the context of unit testing, what does the AAA pattern stand for? Is it analyzing AI aggregates? Is it angry aardvarks always attack? Is it assemble, arrange, and aggregate? Or is it arrange, act, and assert? If you've ever been in Texas, they're not aardvarks, they're armadillos. But if you've ever been in Texas, you drive along the road and there's this little tank-looking thing that walks across the road. And if you hit it, you're in for a bad day in your car. They don't necessarily attack, but they can get pretty angry. All right, 86% passing grade. And then So I think now I can go back to the Q&A slide. If there are any questions, you can scan the new QR code and put it up there. Otherwise, thank you everyone for coming today, and follow me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all the socials.